Okay, let's get started. This is the third episode of Dude Talk, where dudes come to talk about dude topics. We're going to talk about that Packers versus Falcons game. I was a little disappointed that there was only like 3 runs in the first half of that game. Like, there was no run game. Yeah, for the Packers.
Well, yeah, because they have a wide receiver as a running back. Like, yeah, Ty Montgomery did well, but I mean, he literally is a wide receiver playing running back because that's how decimated they were on the running back position this year. I mean, and they've had so many injuries this year, it's crazy. But running back, it's like they didn't have any. Of course, they didn't have a running game.
Remember something also, that when an NFL team gets behind, like they got behind, the running game usually gets abandoned because they have to keep their best option in terms of scoring quickly. And in today's NFL, that means throwing the ball down the field 20 yards a pop at least. So,
well, and that's what happened. That's what happened last week when the Packers played the Cowboys. Packers had an early lead.
Right.
I think they were up like 21-3 early in that game, and then 28-13 later. And Dallas, who was doing really well at the running game all year with Ezekiel Elliott,
right?
They kind of had no other choice but to kind of lose that. Now, came back, but I mean, like if they would have ran the ball, they probably wouldn't have been able to tie it the way they did late in the game. They probably would have been still playing catch up.
No, so, but yeah. even early in that game, there wasn't much running.
Right, and that's the thing. I think the Packers kind of realized, hey, we got here because of Rodgers. Let's win because of Rodgers. But yeah, you need a balanced attack offensively. And I think that's what the Falcons are really good at. I think obviously everybody looks at Matt Ryan and they look at Julio Jones, but they've got 2 great running backs. They got, of course, Devontae Freeman, who's probably the most underrated running back in the NFL. But they also have Coleman, who's a good. I mean, I think he's as good as Freeman as far as a running back's concerned. So, I mean, they have a really balanced attack.
Tevin Coleman is a fast guy on that field, man.
No, he's when
Tevin Coleman gets that ball, if he's got like a couple dudes basically clearing away for him, man, good luck catching that dude. That's the other thing, right. And that's the thing with the Falcons. Honestly, with my dude opinion, as you would put it,
you're on the right channel for that.
The Packers have nothing to be ashamed of because, as far as I'm concerned, with the team that they had, they overachieved. They were lucky.
They certainly did. I mean, they and making it the championship game, that's tremendous of any team to do that.
I mean, they beat Dallas at home, which is a big accomplishment in itself. Also, with the fact that they don't have a running game, for them to get this far all throughout the season, at least, that's a huge accomplishment.
And that defense wasn't very impressive either.
No,
and that's a testament. To Aaron Rodgers. The point that you brought up with their defense being so bad is a great point, because you really can't win shootout games in the playoffs. Most playoff games aren't shootouts because by the time people get into the playoffs, you've got good, balanced teams there. You don't have teams that really have defenses like the Packers really showing up to the playoffs very often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the NFL history, more times than not, the great defense, like the year that has, the top defenses of that year are generally the ones that both make the playoffs and make the championship. But of course, you see the Broncos last year; they had the #1 defense, and they won the Super Bowl. And of course, this year, I think it was the Texans. They had the #1 defense, but they had no offense. And so it shows that it's good to have a good defense, but you need that balance. And I think to the testament of what you were saying about Aaron Rodgers, it shows that a great future Hall of Fame player such as Rodgers can take you into the playoffs and can even take you deep into the playoffs, but you're going to probably end up playing someone who's, as you said, more balanced and you can't win a Super Bowl just by one player.
Right.
Even in the quarterback position, because you look at all throughout NFL history, you have great quarterbacks like Dan Marino or even John Elway early in his years. Great quarterbacks. I mean, probably outside of Montana, were probably the best quarterbacks in the 80s. But they couldn't win Super Bowls because they didn't have a balanced team. I mean, the Broncos didn't have a running game with the Dolphins. They didn't have a running game either.
I mean, I don't even think they had much of a receiving game. I mean, I don't remember anybody who played for the Dolphins who was really a receiver.
The Dolphins had Mark Clayton, and I forgot the other guy's name. But they had good receivers, but that was the thing, that they were one-dimensional. They were, and they were beaten by better teams, better balanced teams, and I think that's the thing with the Falcons is that, and now their defense has kind of been average all year, but if you watch the last 2 games against Seattle and Green Bay, they've really turned it on.
They're balling out.
Yeah, they've turned it on.
They're balling out considering how good that defense is. They're playing as good as they can, and that's a positive.
And the thing is,
wasn't there like 2 or 3 turnovers in that one?
Yeah, there were.
2 picks and a fumble.
2 picks and a fumble. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's the difference in a lot of games.
Was a backbreaking.
Yeah, because you look at, I think the number one turning point in games, I think, are turnovers. Turnovers and penalties. You look at the turning points in the 2 Falcons playoff wins. The first turning point was that special teams penalty that turned the momentum of the game, and they got a safety later on. And then in the Packers game, the Ripkowski fumble, when the Packers were driving, they ripped it out, recovered in the end zone. I think that play kind of turned it around. Turnovers. I mean, and that's the thing that the Falcons are going to have to keep doing, especially when they play the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They're going to have to find a way to turn the ball over, which the Patriots don't do. But if they got a chance to win, if they want a chance to win, they got to cause turnovers, because that's what the Broncos did against the Panthers last year. Right. You know, you got to get to the quarterback and you got to cause turnovers.
The other thing I'll say about the Packers that I saw is there's something to be said.
Julio
about,
Jones was not taken care of. That was an issue.
Well, that's an understatement, but that's not where I'm going. There's a difference in the playoffs when it comes to the quality of players on your team and depth. Yeah. And the Falcons, to me, have both of those 2 variables locked down. They have a super deep team, and the quality of players, position to position, is really, really good. Mm-hmm. You know, if you look at the wide receivers, for example, everybody talks about Julio Jones, but Mohamed Sanu is no joke. He is no joke. And it basically, how a playoff game is won is that your backups play like starters and your starters play like starters. If you have that kind of mentality, where there's no drop off in production, like if we're going to talk about the running backs, okay, there is no drop off in production as of yesterday between Coleman and Freeman. I mean, they were both gashing the Packers. Now, if you look on the other side, there's a tremendous drop off between Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and the rest of the folks.
Yeah,
and that's what won the football game. The depth between the positions is what wins and loses you a football game. The deepness of your roster is extremely important anytime you play football. Mm. This was just an example of that.
Well, and they say the football is the ultimate team sport, and yeah, I think it emphasizes that you can't win. I mean, you can win games, but you can't win a championship just by one outstanding player, just kind of a collection of stars. Because, again, the question is, what if those stars get injured, or and I know I keep bringing up the Patriots. We'll probably talk about that later. But the key with the Patriots, at least defensively, is that they key on one guy. They figure out, okay, who's the best player on the offense, and let's take him out of the game and force the other team to win. It's like in the old days when Michael Jordan used to play for the Bulls.
Right.
When teams would play the Bulls, they'd have the strategy of, do we try to take Jordan out of the game and make the rest of the team win, or do we try to take the rest of the team out and make Jordan win the game? And of course, obviously, when you put the game in Jordan's hands, he would get it done. But so a lot of teams, they would try to take Jordan out of the game. But as you said, because they had Dennis Rodman, because they had Scottie Pippen, I mean, they were just able to keep winning, because even if Jordan only scored like 13 points in the game, they would still, scored 96 or 100, because they had that depth. They could have a player step up and be like, all right, yeah, I'll make the play to win the game. And yeah, because you look at, I'm an NFL history buff, so I always think about the history of different games. But I think one of the best Super Bowls I ever played was the first Giants-Patriots game, when the Patriots they're trying to go for their undefeated season. And who made the biggest play of the game? David Tyree, who we had no idea who he was. And he makes this great helmet catch. But that's the thing, is that these plays, especially in the Super Bowl, these plays can happen by anybody. Of course, last year it was Von Miller who took over the game. But it could be anybody. I mean, there was one year that for the Redskins, this is back in the 80s, but there was a running back called Jimmy Smith, or not Jimmy Smith, or I forgot his name. But he had like a phenomenal game. He had like 200 yards rushing, which is still a Super Bowl record, or somewhere around 200 yards. And he just had a great game. He came out of nowhere. And that's the thing, like these players, when it comes to Super Bowls and championships, you have to have players that can perform and make plays in these big games. And, and that's why you talk about depth, because if your star player is taken out of the game, do you have someone on your team that can stand up and make the play and, hey, put the game in my hands, I'll get it done,
Right. And a couple things that a lot of guys aren't going to talk about. They're going to just say, oh, well, the Packers lost and the Atlanta Falcons won. A lot of dudes really don't understand that it's beyond that. I think the guy who deserves the most amount of credit in terms of this was a guy who wasn't on, and that's the Atlanta Falcons general manager. Because you put a team like that together, and this is not a dude thing to say, because the dudes are going to be like, well, yeah, one team won and another team lost. But
it's easy to kind of see the scoreboard for what it is.
But Aaron Rodgers has kind of had a team like this for the last 2 or 3 years. The only reason they ever got anywhere is because of Aaron Rodgers, and the rest of the NFL has teams like the Atlanta Falcons, who progressively have gotten better. This year was the Atlanta Falcons. Last year it was some other team. But this is just how the NFL works. And the front office deserves a lot of credit in terms of a win like this, because the depth that we're talking about is something that the front office has a big part to do with. The other thing is the running game in an NFL playoff game is vitally important. I don't know how many times I've seen an NFL football game, and the running game is what takes the heart out of a defense that you're playing against. I remember when the Chargers were playing, it was when Phillip Rivers was there. Actually, no, it wasn't Phillip Rivers. It was Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, okay.
And it was LT and Michael Turner. Michael Turner, who later became the running back for the Atlanta Falcons. Mm-hmm. Why did he become a running back for the Atlanta Falcons? Because he took the heart out of the Indianapolis Colts, because when LT got injured and when Drew Brees got injured for the second half, Billy Volek showed up, who was a backup quarterback. He managed the game, and Michael Turner basically was kind of an Earl Campbell style punishing running back.
Yeah, he was a downhill runner for sure.
He wasn't one of those guys that was like LT who avoided contact. He was a guy that wanted the contact. And he basically took the soul out of the Indianapolis Colts. And the whole NFL saw that. And the next year, he was a running back for
the Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons, and had something like 1,550 yards.
Yeah, really good spirit there, yeah.
And the San Diego Chargers were never the same. But what I'm saying is how you take the soul out of a team is by beating them up. And you don't beat a team up by passing the football. You beat them up by sustained punishment throughout a 4-quarter game.
Well, right, and football is very similar to wrestling, where wrestling, if you're pretty evenly matched with the guy, it becomes a matter of endurance, and whoever kind of has the best endurance. And I'll tell you, because I played offensive line in high school, and there's a mentality that comes in wherein you're facing the guy and you just get to pound him in the ground like every play. That does a lot for you mentally in a good way. And if you just kind of feel like
it's tough.
Yeah. And that's, and like I said, if that offensive line can dominate the defensive line, your offense can do no wrong, basically. And then running the ball, it just makes it really easy. Because if you average 3 or 4 yards of run, you'll get a first down eventually.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's all you need. And that comes down to the offensive line, just being able to hit. Because defensive line, and also I play defensive line too. And if you're playing a guy who's just pounding you to the ground, you just become demoralized. You're like, oh man, I can't. I can't make the play. And football does come down to the trenches a lot of times. Who's winning the offensive, defensive line on both sides of the football. And those are not glamour positions. Everybody talks about the fantasy numbers of this and that, the flashy positions. But yeah, when it comes down to it, it's those big guys in the middle. Can they get the job done or can they not? And
right.
No, but what happens if you have a dude like let me make a point. What happens if you have a dude like Alex Smith that gets the ball out in 2 seconds? That offensive line, it can be a little weak, but you get the ball out fast, you'd be okay.
Well, right, but the issue is that if the defense knows that the ball's coming out quick, they can press the receivers and they can come up to the line of scrimmage, and they can even put 8 in the box to even stop the run because, even if they do a play action, you're still right there with the receiver, and you can get in the passing lanes, and you can just kind of cause all sort of chaos. So even the quick passing game, and I think that's probably why the Chiefs ended up losing to the Steelers last week, because they knew that Alex Smith and the offense, they weren't going to throw deep.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
they shut down the short intermediate route.
Yeah,
because that's the type of quarterback he is. Nobody is afraid of Alex Smith. Nobody's sitting here. Nobody standing on the field is afraid of Alex Smith. They know that it's going to be short and intermediate routes. You cut off the zones and you basically neutral. He's not going to hurt you. He's not the type of quarterback that's basically going to throw a ball 60 yards in the air and have somebody like Deshaun Jackson basically burn a defense. He's not that kind of guy. He's a West Coast quarterback. And when you play a West Coast quarterback, you basically neutralize the short and medium route. That's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's going back to your point of needing a running game, because if you have a running game, of course they can bring in 8 in the box and stop the run. But if you have a running game, that can open up the play action, especially if you have a deep threat like a Julio Jones, like the Falcons do, because you bring the safeties. There was one play. Sorry to jump the gun too, or the Patriots Steelers game. But there was a play in the Patriots Steelers game where Patriots ran a play action not play action, they ran the flea flicker, and
Oh yeah.
clearly see he basically bites hard on the run because Patriots have been running the ball all game.
Right.
Bites so hard, and then the receiver just burns him deep, and that's the thing. If you have a good running game, you can do all those kinds of plays. But just even the simple play action of just needing to freeze the linebackers for like just a half second, and then get a receiver free.
Shut up!
Whoops, we got ducks in the background.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, even if you freeze the linebackers for a half second, you can get them out of position for the different. I mean, I think that's exactly what the Falcons were doing to the Packers because they were receivers all open all over the field. Over the field.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it's pitch and catch at that point. But what happened, I mean, of course, the Packers were in a zone defense for most of the time, which I thought was just stupid.
Yeah, I think so too.
But then
Say it again.
like they're in a zone. Packers were in a zone defense for most of the game, which I thought was stupid. But they must have thought that.
Why was it stupid?
Well, because you just find the open zone. Like if a receiver like Julio Jones or Mohamed Sanu or even the tight end, all they need to do is find an open zone, and Matt Ryan can read defenses really well, and he just finds an open zone and gets in. I mean, there's no.
What would you do
pass
better?
Well, and that's the issue as a defense.
That's the issue. It depends on what the defense can do. If you don't have corners that can play man, then it's not going to really work.
Right, and that's the thing is that they must have felt like their corners could not match up well against the Falcons receivers one-on-one, which will be interesting to see what the Patriots do defensively to try to counter, because they might do what they did against the Steelers, because the Steelers or the Patriots basically had Malcolm Butler shadow Antonio Brown,
Right.
and and then kind of just try to have the rest of the team beat them, which they couldn't, obviously. And they might try to do the same thing. They might have Malcolm Butler shadow Julio Jones. But I feel like, and this, if I'm in
Hey guys, I'll be right back. Give me 5 minutes.
Oh, no problem.
Go ahead though.
I feel like if I'm in Atlanta, though, I'm actually kind of excited because even though Malcolm Butler is a great cornerback that he is, the size and speed of Julio Jones, I think, can beat anybody. And I
think honestly, it's going to be interesting to see how the wide receivers match up with those corners, because I think
exactly.
I think that's really what's going to make or break this game. I think, I really think that's what it's going to be. And between the two teams, I'd rather take Atlanta's wide receivers than have Chris Hogan and whoever else plays for the Patriots. It's just
the Steelers didn't match up well against the Patriots offense either. I mean, like the Steelers defense has been average at best, I think, this year. And everybody was kind of
last couple years, honestly, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, what would you say?
If we're going to be honest, they've been kind of average at best for the last couple years.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think because they lost a lot of their key players from like the 05-08 season, and they had those great defenses. Obviously, it's not the same. But yeah, I mean, they've been average, and I think the Patriots. I mean, because everybody year in year out, I think because of their history, everybody's like, "Oh, the Steelers, they're Super Bowl contenders." I mean, but watching them are kind of like they're all offense, and there's no defense. I mean,
I think nostalgia to Pittsburgh that they basically get away with.
Yeah, the same thing with the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's the same deal.
Yeah, but I mean, it was. But I mean, the game played out. The Patriots-Steelers game played out the way I thought it was going to be. Like they were just. I don't think it was. I mean, the Patriots are a good offensive team too. I mean, that's what makes them a good team. They got the balance of offense and defense. But the Steelers just again, it was like watching the Falcons-Packers game all over again. I mean, the Steelers were leaving guys wide open. There were uncontested throws down the middle. I mean, their third down conversion was insane. Same thing with the Falcons. I mean, it was like deja vu.
Right.
Yesterday, the two games were like mirror images of each other, and they weren't exciting. But that's what's going to make it interesting because I think the Falcons and Patriots do match up really well. Because obviously you have the Falcons' great offense, but also you have the Patriots, who I think have the fifth best defense this year.
Right. The other thing is, even though I'm not impressed with the Patriots offense, I'm not necessarily impressed with the quality of the Falcons defense. I'm saying that they've been playing good, but the Atlanta Falcons don't have Darrelle Revis or Troy Polamalu playing safety on that team. I mean, they're just average NFL.
They do kind of a bunch of unknowns, like no-name players. Well, they do, but they're young. That's the thing. We don't know about them because most of the defensive players are really young. And so, okay, cool. And I mean, they developed their defensive players through the draft. And I think in the only last drafts, most of those players are only third or fourth year. I mean, at the most, like fourth. I think there's one guy, though, who's been playing there for like 12 years.
John Abraham, is he still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, like, he's not necessarily a key guy to the defense even. Like, it's just –
I know that Dwight Freeney is playing there, too. He must be
yeah, that's true. That's true, too. He's there, too.
That guy's been around there forever, or in the NFL at least.
Yeah. But the Falcons are a good example. Same thing with the Patriots, where it has a team defense mentality. They obviously with the Patriots they have Malcolm Butler, but I mean there's really nobody else on the defense that we can really name. They don't really have any of the star defensive players that you would think of, but they still have a really good defense. And I think the big matchup, though, obviously the marquee matchup will be Atlanta's offense versus New England's defense. And I think if I'm Atlanta, I'm going after Malcolm Butler right away. In the first drive of the game, the Super Bowl, I'm doing like 5 passes to Julio Jones or to Malcolm Butler because with a cornerback, same thing with a lot of positions, but with a cornerback especially, if you go after him early, and you have early success,
you'll rattle him for
exactly. You'll get inside his head, and it'll demoralize him. And maybe some cornerbacks might come back and kind of, but they also might get too aggressive too. They might have more flags being called on them because they're trying to, pull the jerseys or trying to get some late hits. And but again, I think if I'm Atlanta, because this is basically what they've been doing to Seattle and to Green Bay is that they just we're putting our foot to the gas and we're going and trying to stop us sort of thing. And I think that's not going to change in the Super Bowl.
Unsung hero in this game somewhere, because I remember when when was that? It wasn't last year's Super Bowl. It was the year before. It was when I think Seattle had their their brain dead moment, their blonde moment, I would say. And I remember there was a guy. No, bro, it's okay. It's okay. But they had a guy who was playing a receiver during the Super Bowl. I think his name was Mike Williams or something like that, or something. Nobody knew who he was. He just lit them up.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Was this? Yeah, this was 2 years ago.
He was like a complete no-name guy. I didn't even know he was on the team, but
yeah, I think his name was yeah, well, that was like a 1 year wonder for him or 1 game wonder because I think he ended up getting cut last year or the year before. I think.
No.
I think so. Hold on. Seattle.
It was. I think it's Chris something.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. He scored a touchdown late in the first half of that.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. That's who I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so
I think Chris Williams or not?
yeah, I think so. Hold on. God, I can't even. First half.
He was a surprise unknown.
Oh yeah, Chris Matthews.
Chris Matthews. There you go.
Chris Matthews. There you go. Chris Matthews. And, and that guy. I mean, I don't even know if he's in the NFL anymore.
No, he's not.
Probably not.
He got cut by the Seahawks last year, I think. Go figure.
Yeah. And see, that's the crazy stuff. There's gonna be a David Tyree here somewhere. Chris Matthews here somewhere. And I think whoever that is on either of these teams is really going to be beneficial in terms of which team wins.
Yeah.
Because it's always like the surprise guys that do something.
Yeah, just don't mention the name David Tyree to any Patriots fans.
No, that's okay. And that's another thing I want to bring up. There is no such thing as lucky plays in a game like that. Because
you got to make the play.
Like Rasheed Wallace says, both teams play hard because they both get paid, right? So
it's very simple.
He said that. He said that when he was playing for the Pistons. And the whole thing is, there is no such thing as moral victories. There's no such thing as luck gets paid to be out there, so that's the whole thing. In terms of any sport,
I hate the when people say, "Well, the team wanted it more than the other team." No, I don't. I think both teams want it. I mean, can you really say to the Patriots like, "Hey, you guys didn't want to win," or like, no player, especially simple like.
At the same time, winners win and losers lose. So.
Right, and that's what I mean. There's a difference.
That's a culture thing.
But I mean, because how do you say that the Panthers who lost last year? Oh, you guys didn't want it as bad as the Broncos. That's why you lost. No, I mean, I think both teams win. But the difference comes down to execution. The Broncos executed better than the Panthers did. That's overall in the game. That's what it comes down to. You don't win games on paper, you win games on the field. And to your point, I mean, whoever, it could be a little small nobody who just executes a play to beautiful perfection. And, that ends up being the turning point of the game, or that ends up being the game winner, I mean, how many of these games, though, this season just have come down to last minute field goals or last minute touchdowns or
the Chargers.
I mean, even what?
The Chargers season is a microcosm of that.
Yeah, no kidding. But that's what I'm saying. It comes down to, especially towards the end of the game, if it's a close game, it comes down to executing plays that are going to win or lose the game for you.
Yeah,
and and then I think. What that comes down to, I think it comes down to two things. I think, one, it comes down to practice. Obviously, you have to practice in order to perfectly execute certain plays. But also, too, I think it comes down to, I mean, they call him Matty Ice for a reason. But it comes down to who's the kind of mentality that these players have. Are they the ones that thrive under pressure? Are they the ones that are cool, and calm and collected? Or are they the ones that panic, and are they ones that kind of just, second guess everything?
Right.
One of my favorite football stories is Joe Montana was playing the Bengals in the Super Bowl, and they were down 16-13 late in the fourth quarter. They had the ball at their own 2-yard line or 8-yard line, and 3 minutes left, whatever. And they get in the huddle, and they're expecting some rah-rah, okay, guys, let's do it, sort of speech from Joe Montana. And he's like, hey, guys, look over there. And they look. He's like, I think it's John Candy over there. And then he called the play, and then they went. And they started the drive, and they ended up scoring a touchdown. But, I mean, that was that was Joe Montana. You couldn't rattle him. You couldn't get inside his head. And I think a lot of these players who have a very tough mental ability of not letting things get to him, because I mean, Matt Ryan might throw a bad pass. He might throw an interception. He might, or a running back might fumble, or a receiver might run the wrong route. Does that affect them the rest of the game, or are they able to come back and be like, all right, I got it, guys. Put it in my hands. I'll make it. I'll get it done.
Yeah,
and so it comes down to who's mentally tougher a lot of times.
I think it's going to come down to three things. I think it's going to come down to execution and ability, or no, availability. Availability, because
you said three things. Those were two.
No. I edited myself.
You said execution, depth, and availability.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
because,
I didn't hear that.
Because in the NFL, it says your best ability is your availability. So, based on the depth and all this other kind of stuff and execution, along with one team doesn't get injured as much as the other one, I think that's
Falcons are probably the healthiest team in the playoffs, and they have been.
Yeah. And in that sense, that gives them somewhat of an edge going in. And a lot of people will say, well, it's the Patriots, this, that, and the other. I really don't know, man. I mean, I don't really know how good the Patriots are compared to, other teams. They played a bunch of mediocre teams in the playoffs. We talked about Pittsburgh, who to me is, a mediocre team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who they played in. They didn't even play in the first round.
Yeah, they had a bye week, and then they played the Texans.
Yeah, and the Texans are the most underwhelming team in all of the NFL.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they played mediocre teams and dominated mediocre teams. What it's really going to come down to is, are they going to be able to take out a good team, basically take them out back and beat them up?
Well, and that's the thing.
Because that's technically what it's going to be like.
Yeah, well, and I think this game, the Super Bowl, obviously we have 2 weeks to talk about it, but
yeah. So
everybody's going to get sick of it if we talk about it too early.
We're not talking about it for 2 weeks on Do Talk.
What? Yeah, I know. No. Well, but I think the key, I'll try to say this 2 weeks before, so and it's recorded so people can quote me on this. But I think what the Super Bowl is going to come down to, because Patriots are not going to, take you out to the shack and beat you up. They're not that kind of team. They kind of they kill you with 1,000 paper cuts. That's the kind of football they play. They don't kill you with the 80-yard long bomb. They don't kill you with, getting a pick six, coast to coast. They kill you with those. Yeah, what?
But Alex, you were talking smack on Alex Smith, and that's what he does.
Right, but I'm saying is that because Brady can still throw the ball downfield, but he doesn't need to, because they're still so effective doing those little short yard passes. But the problem is too, they got fast wide receivers that all he needs to do is throw 10 yards, and they run for the next 50. They have the old West Coast offense, what Joe Montana used to have at San Francisco, that they would just have the precise 5-yard, 10-yard routes, hit these receivers on stride, and then just have them taken in the house. And that's the thing. That's what I mean. That's how the Patriots kill you on offense and even on defense. They prevent the big play. They have sort of that bend but not break mentality, where they keep teams from being able to do what they want to do. Right. Now, but the interesting thing with the Falcons is that the Falcons kind of have this sort of swagger. They kind of have, you even call it a chip on their shoulder, where it's they got nothing to lose. Yeah. Because everybody's already kind of, who are the Falcons? Oh, they're nobody, or what? They never won a Super Bowl. Matt Ryan doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. He's always kind of been can he win the big one? So
Yeah,
question,
he's been the Tony Romo and the Philip Rivers of the South.
yeah. Um, and so that there's still a lot of question marks for the Falcons, but I think the sort of mentality and attitude of the Falcons, they kind of feel like they're this team that will take you to the shack and just beat you up, because
Yeah.
that's what they did with the Seahawks and that's what they did to the Packers. Now, granted, it was at Atlanta those two games, and it's going to be a different feel in Houston, but I think because if you look at the one loss or the two losses the Patriots had all year, they lost to the Bills.
Yeah.
Of course, that was the last game of Brady's suspension. They lost to the Bills and they lost to the Seahawks. Those are the two teams that pound you. They try to
Physical
beat you
teams.
up. What?
Yeah. They're very physical teams.
Exactly. And I think for the Falcons, in order for them to win this game, they have to out physical the Patriots on both sides of the football. They have to just pound them into submission because obviously the Patriots are going to try to beat you in very subtle ways. They're going to try to outsmart you. They're going to try to, out game plan you out. Basically it's going to be bronze versus brains. That's the way I look. And I'm not saying that Dan Quinn can't out coach Belichick, but I mean it's really hard to,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But I think this game's going to come down to bronze versus brains. And I think if the Falcons can get their way on the line of scrimmage and just out physical them, I think that they have a good chance of winning.
Yeah. That being said, there's one X factor that I kind of want to bring up on the Patriots side. There's one guy that can take you out back and beat you up on the Patriots, and that's LeGarrette Blount.
That's true.
If LeGarrette Blount starts getting going, man, I mean that's like getting a basic cinder block to the head every time that guy gets.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the reason why they picked him up from Tampa, because they knew that was kind of the change of pace back that they needed. But the thing with LeGarrette Blount, because the case with any kind of big runner, like especially like backs like Jerome Bettis and such,
Yeah.
is that if you can get them behind the line of scrimmage, like if you can stop them before they get going, they don't have that momentum to kind of really pound people, 3 or 4 yards or get into the secondary and just like level cornerbacks. The way to stop them is that you just collapse the line because they can't bounce it outside.
Yeah, I mean
they're not.
They're straight ahead.
Kind of like
they have no moves when it comes to any of that stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can kind of collapse the line and basically make them not go anywhere, basically have a wall in front of them, they're not going to do much. And I think that's the thing when they see Garrett Blount in the lineup, and they assume it's a run. They just kind of have to collapse the line, make it to where he has nowhere to run with the football. I mean, that's a one way to stop him. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Garrett Blount is definitely a bulldozer of a running back.
The other thing that we have to remember also is it's going to be interesting how the Atlanta Falcons adjust, because Tim Montgomery ain't really getting the ball no more. You understand what I'm saying? So
who's this?
I'm talking about the Green Bay running back.
Oh, Ty Montgomery, yeah.
Ty Montgomery. Anyway,
yeah.
He's not getting the ball no more. So there's going to be an adjustment period there, and how they react and how they contain that adjustment is really going to say a lot about this game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like because it's not like Seahawks had much of a running game either. So the Falcons have played two teams that are relying mainly on their quarterbacks to make plays. But now here's a key thing though, because I think for the Falcons, there are two things that they were able to do that most teams aren't able to do, both against Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, is that they got to him because Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are very mobile quarterbacks. I mean, there is time after time I see teams trying to blitz them and they elude the rush and they throw it, 40, 50 yards downfield, a wide open guy. Russell Wilson or even then, like, if nobody's open, they can avoid the blitz and run for a first down. I mean, like, they're kind of a dual threat quarterback, but what makes them dangerous is that they throw first and then run. I mean, they're so fast they can outrun almost most linebackers. But the thing with the Falcons is that they were able to contain them. They were able, and Aaron Rodgers was healthy, Russell Wilson was healthy.
Right.
So I mean, it's not like they were injured and they couldn't run, but I mean, they were able to contain him and hit him. They put some hits on Aaron Rodgers that I was like, whoa. I've never seen that all year.
It's
playing Packers.
It's not normal to see Aaron Rodgers get dominated like that.
Yeah.
Or a team with Aaron Rodgers on it be dominated like that. So that's an accomplishment.
Well, and that's what I think.
It's going to be an interesting game. So
yeah. Well, that's for me. I think the Falcons need to get pass rush on Tom Brady because what were the ways the Giants were able to beat the Patriots in the 2 Super Bowls? They had a great pass rush. They got to Brady, and they weren't able to have Brady throw downfield, or they weren't able to have Brady set his feet. Because that was the other thing about the Steelers game. If I was a Steelers fan, I would have been mad because Brady had all day most of the time. I mean, he got sacked once, and that was like the first or second drive of the game. And then the rest of the game, he had like all day. I mean, I think there was one play that he had like 7 seconds where he like sat back there. I mean, he could have made a sandwich, eaten, and then gone out for dinner. He had so much time.
You could have put Phillip Rivers behind that offensive line with the amount of time he got, and Phillip Rivers would have won that game.
Yeah, and that's the thing with any good quarterback. If you give him time, he's going to pick you apart. And the Falcons, again, I think a key for them is that they got to get to Brady. They got to find unique blitzes because Brady is going to be able to read the defenses. He's been in the NFL so long. He knows all the defensive schemes. He knows all the blitz combinations. He knows all the zone reads. And so you have to be creative defensively and come up with new defensive schemes that are going to confuse them, or that are going to, bring in a free blocker coming in, or have a delayed blitz, or something that they need to do to get to Brady and not have him have all day to throw. I think that's going to be another key aspect of that game because you look at the pass rush, even last year. I mean, Denver's pass rush got to Cam Newton so bad.
Yeah, that was crazy.
He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything.
During the second half, you could see that guy was completely spent.
Right. Well, and again, Cam Newton is no Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is not going to get as rattled as Cam Newton. I mean, but that's the thing, is that you're going to have to do it all game. Like, you can't just like all of a sudden stop. You're like, okay, let's play prevent. Let's play safe. No, I mean, you're going to have to do that all game.
And that's the thing about the NFL. Sometimes I don't even know why teams go into prevent. I would be much happier if teams just played an attacking brand of football.
Yeah.
Because there's a saying that says the only thing that the prevent defense prevents is it prevents you from winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's what it is. But it'll be a good game, man. I won't pay attention to the NFL too much. Of course, for me, the reason I don't pay attention to the NFL too much now, football team. But
I feel bad for Chargers fans. I don't know, man. I don't know what San Diegans are going through, but I can tell it's not very happy right now.
A lot of emotional pain, John. A lot of emotional pain.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. It's just honestly, the thing about the Chargers and the Chargers fans that a lot of people really don't understand is we're kind of like Bears fans. We've been dealing with a shitty product for a long time. it's remember in the
It's like-
90s. I
It's
remember
like
in the
your
90s.
shitty product. Like, even though it's shitty, it's still yours, and it's still like,
And,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a testament to our fan base that we've been dealing with such a sucky product for a long time. Same thing with the Bears and the Browns and all these other teams that suck.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
you don't
Hey, the
get
Browns
anything
beat the
else.
Chargers.
yeah, which is the only win of the Browns all year. But
I know.
well, it's
Are
like,
you wondering why they moved to LA?
yeah. Well, I don't know how many people are gonna drive up. What is it, an hour and a half, 2 hours to LA?
I ain't going nowhere. I've
I say
got
2
my
hours.
fandom up for sale now. I don't even know. I
Well,
don't even
maybe-
know who I'm gonna
yeah.
Maybe
You
me
just-
and Alec can be Bears fans.
I'd love to
Be in
be a
limbo.
Raider fan because I know there's plenty of backup out here in San Diego if I want to be a Raider fan.
Raiders are gonna probably move to Las Vegas, so
Yeah.
they're gonna
Yep.
displace.
See, but that at least makes sense. To me, the move to LA makes no sense because LA
Yeah.
doesn't want San Diego or the Chargers. They want the
Yeah.
Raiders more than they want either of those teams.
That's true.
But
Really
the
true.
San
The
Diego
LA
doesn't want
fan
San Diego.
populace would rather tell the Rams to stay in St. Louis and the Chargers to stay in San Diego if they had the opportunity to have the Raiders be a part of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the Raiders probably make up 2/3 of the football fandom in LA. Would you agree? Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, of course. You know,
Yeah.
because they've got that kind of swag about them from the '80s.
Well,
You know, I
won a
remember-
Super Bowl when they were there.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, and this is a dude story, but anyway, I was at a Chinese restaurant called the Golden Dragon.
Again?
No, I was in a Chinese restaurant called the Golden Dragon in LA.
How many times did you go? Jeez.
I've been there once, bro, but this is a poignant story.
I'm sure you have.
Anyway, I was in the bathroom and I was just talking with the dude who was taking up the bathroom stall while I was standing to the other side, and I'm like, hey man, he had like a Raider hat on. Man,
So he was in the bathroom stall and you were doing what?
No, like we were in the bathroom stall together, bro. It was just,
Why
he
are
was
the two men in
washing
one
his
bathroom
hands and
stall?
he was washing his hands and I was just walking in. But I just realized that I realized he had a Raider hat on. And I said, hey man, our team might come out there part of your city. It's like, what team are you talking about? At first he didn't know. It's like, well, I'm from San Diego. It's like, oh, well, it sucks that you guys are going through that, but we don't want them here.
Yeah.
And honestly, that team sucks anyway. You guys have been dealing with that team sucking for so long that we would just rather have the Raiders here. And I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, the other thing is that team's been there for 35 years. So, like, they've got more history in San Diego, even though it sucks, than they have history here.
Well, the Chargers have been in San Diego, I think, a lot longer than that, haven't they? Like, since the 60s?
Yeah.
Since the 60s.
1960s.
Yeah, I mean, that was just him saying that, but the whole thing was, from LA look at the Chargers as the bitch team from 2 years from 2 hours down. You understand what I'm saying? They don't even look at the Chargers as being like Southern California.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of see the Chargers as like kind of the retarded younger stepchild of the Raiders in a way.
And I was kind of saying something funny. It would be interesting if the Chargers actually pulled a LA Angels, because the LA Angels play in Orange County, but the funny thing is, they have this whole thing of they're the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So maybe the San Diego Chargers will pull some kind of shit where they're the the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego.
Did you see that logo that they attempted?
Yeah, you mean the Dodgers logo with a longer line on it?
Yeah, with the zag line.
Yeah, I saw that. You know, the radio hosts that basically frequent here were just saying, hey man, it really shows that they love San Diego a lot, in the sense that they moved like 2 hours ago and they've already got a logo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's basically like putting salt in the wound, really.
Right. Well, I mean, like with the Rams, because I know they changed their logo not too long after they moved, but I mean, it was still, you know, it's like someone put it. I think it's because sometimes I listen to Colin Cowherd.
Yeah,
and he used the example of like a guy being in a marriage, or you know, a bad marriage, and he's been cheating on this bimbo for 20 years.
Yeah.
And as soon as he signs a divorce papers, he's out with this girl, you know, in public. You know,
he said that right after the move. I saw that.
Yeah, it's like probably a good example. You know, I think it was funny though, because in some ways I would have loved to still be there, even though I'm not. But I would have loved to see the burn pile in front of the Chargers facility.
Oh yeah, it was out there, man. You can check it out on YouTube. It's there. You know, you got a whole bonfire worth of shit. I always laugh that I wish I knew where they burned those jerseys, because I'd take them off their hands and sell them on eBay for some profit. But,
yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, yeah, sell them. They might
some Craigslist.
Yeah, you might get maybe $20. You might get $20 from them.
Yeah.
So desperate nostalgia.
Tell me that you see them out in the thrift store.
What?
You know, it's just one of those things. I just see it in real poor taste, and honestly, nobody's gonna show up from San Diego to go down to Carson. I mean, we're not even going down to LA. We're going down to Carson. You know, when you're going to LA, you know that smog that you see when you're on the freeway. That's what Carson's all about. You're basically like hanging out right there.
It's Smogville, USA.
Yeah, dude. Like, you know, nobody wants to go there. I felt so bad for Phillip Rivers, because he was having all these interviews and he's like, well, you know, I've built really like a relationship with the community here.
Oh yeah.
I've taken less money to stay here. So, you know, I'm leaving this city with a heavy heart and all this stuff. It was almost like he was mourning it. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, he spent his whole career here with the shitty football team that really doesn't build anything around him to begin with. So, you know, it is what it is. As far as I'm concerned, I'm glad they're gone, so I can choose to really look out for a good football team. You know what I mean? Honestly. Because I'm sick and tired of, like, you know, us going up to like a 21-0 lead and losing 28-21 in the fourth quarter. I mean, that ain't working.
Yeah, well, they fired Mike McCoy. I don't know who their new coach is, but they got rid of McCoy. So.
It's the interim coach from Buffalo. African American guy.
Stephen Lynn.
Anthony Lynn.
No, it's
Anthony Lynn.
Isn't it Stephen?
No, it's
Anthony Lynn. I'm a Doge.
Yeah,
he's an old running backs coach. Old running backs coach, basically.
Okay.
Who was elevated to offensive coordinator, who was elevated to interim head coach after they canned Rex Ryan.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to fill.
I would have loved to see Rex Ryan in Charger gear back when they were in San Diego. See, that's the reason. That's the reason a lot of Chargers fans aren't really sad about this team leaving because we always used to have like shitty head coaches. I'll tell you, we had Marty Schottenheimer for like
He took the team
2
to a 14-2 schedule
Yeah,
though,
and they
or
fired his
season.
They fired his ass. And then we had Norv Turner, who was basically like watching paint dry. You know what I mean? And then you've got, after Norv Turner, you've got
You hit the shithole right there. You're like, it just goes downhill from
you've
there.
got Mike McCoy, who is also like watching paint dry. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean,
And that preventive defense.
And obviously the team takes head coach.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have a head coach that really doesn't have anything, and the team doesn't have anything. And the thing that pissed me off the most is fired Norv Turner. John Gruden was interested in that job because
Was he really?
This is before he had his Monday Night Football gig.
Okay.
He was still into coaching, but the thing is with Dean Spanos. Dean Spanos is notoriously cheap with his head coaches and his draft picks. This year,
Yeah.
we were the only team out of the 32 teams our first round draft pick.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
remember that.
and that guy dominated the season playing like 10 games or 11 games or whatever the hell it was.
He did well. He did really well.
So do I really feel bad about the Chargers leaving when it's just a soap opera? Not really. I've moved on. You know,
Cut you off.
I've got the Padres season to look forward to.
Yo, hold up.
Anyway,
See, we talked about football for an hour. I want to cover, Chael Sonnen when you fight Tito Ortiz the other day. John, you can stick around or you could do what you want to do, but we're going to talk about that for like 10 minutes.
I might have to get going. Plus I don't.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Me.
Football is.
I mean,
I'm a one sport
I mean,
wonder, so.
Yeah.
I'm leaving too.
Okay,
but
John.
I'm leaving
Hold
too,
up.
but you know, to close up shop, Chael Sonnen got dominated. He was talking all this shit, and the biggest thing that was happening is he got put on the mat and basically got choked out by a guy who's never choked out anybody. So
No, that looked fake as hell. Under the chick's head was up. It was like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a choke. There ain't nothing that is threatening about
like
that
a sleeper
choke.
hold? Was it like a sleeper hold?
Imagine a sleeper hold, but it's across your face, and your face is away from. It's hard to explain because it was nothing even close to a completed sleeper hold.
Was it maybe like a half
It
Nelson or
was-
something?
applied correctly.
No, nobody's gonna tap out from that. I say that's fake, like it was fixed.
Yeah, and especially with you, Dylan, you were talking a bunch of stuff about how what's his name was going to dominate Tito Ortiz. You're like, Chael Sonnen, man, he's going to put him to sleep. He's going to have him submit.
No, I didn't say nothing except Chael Sonnen was going to wrestle his ass off, and that's all I said.
Yeah, and you said you said that you thought Chael Sonnen was going to win because he was going to take it to the ground.
He
and
wrestling his
basically
ass off. He was going to
Yeah,
lay pray.
But the thing is, Chael Sonnen got dominated. So
No,
yeah, but either way,
Chael.
yeah.
No,
both
No,
fighters
it's not-
got paid. That's what matters.
yeah. Need to throw that fight.
Hey man, it's a good deal. It's a good deal if you can get it, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So
No, but
So that's-
that guillotine
that's
he
what I got to
went.
say about that.
No, that guillotine, one arm guillotine from half guard was the most hopeless submission I've ever seen in my life.
Well,
He made CM Punk look like a jiu-jitsu master.
well, got the shit torn out of him, so that's not saying much. But yeah, I mean, at least we know that CM Punk can take a beating. That's all we really know. That's all we really know about CM Punk in that octagon, man.
No, did you think Chael Sonnen did not throw that fight?
What's that?
You think Chael Sonnen did not throw that fight?
I mean, I don't know. I know he lost, which is the most important thing. I don't really think anything else is really important.
No,
but yeah,
I'll put you in the same hold next time I see you, and you tell me if you feel like tapping out.
All right, sounds good, bro. Sounds good. But anyway, I've got to bounce, so I'm gonna basically, get out of here. I got some work to do. I think everybody else does too. So
okay.
It was fun,
thank
guys.
you, Ahmed, for showing up, and thank you, John, for showing up. And this concludes our third episode of Dude Talk.
Yeah, anytime you want to talk.
Dudes come to talk.
I say anytime you want to talk football or philosophy, just let me know. So.
There's no philosophy in Dude Talk.
Oh, there's got to be philosophy in Dude Talk. Come on,
there's
man.
philosophy in everything, bro.
There's dude logic.
Yeah,
that'll work.
Philosophy. Show some dude logic. We'll get you back in.
All right, sounds
good, bro. Sounds good. All right, man. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, talk to you later,
See you
guys.
guys.
Okay, bye.